Silvandgold is a poet and MC from Southeast Los Angeles. She recently released a new single entitled Doing Me. It's the newest thing she's released since her Gold Rush album. We're gonna bring her in, talk to her about her discography and what she's got coming up next. Let's bring her in.
Hi.
Thank you so much. It's an
What's up?
honor to have you on.
Thank
I'm gonna
you.
jump right out the gate and ask you what everybody wants to know. All right?
What is it?
So if you look at your discography, right, there's like a pattern, almost like if somebody does like a test and they're like 2019,
Hmm.
2021, 2023, what's the pattern?
Every 2 years?
So you just released a single called Doing Me. Gold Rush was the last album. What's coming next? Are you cooking? Everybody wants to know when the new
Yeah.
Silvandgold album is dropping.
I'm always making music. It never stops. So yes, I am cooking for sure. For sure. I think, yeah, I don't, you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't plan the pattern a certain
Yeah.
way. I don't do it consciously. I just kind of like, whenever I think I'm done, I'm like, I think I'm done. I'm gonna drop it. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, I guess there's a pattern and I didn't even realize it. But yeah, you're right. Next year.
Well, I was looking at it and I was like, she got kind of quiet, right? Like there's like
Yeah.
this, you know what I mean? Like there's this moment, and I get it, you know, like creatively, I know, and life happens also. But then there's like so many artists, especially right now, that you know they've got stuff loaded in the clip.
Hmm.
They're like, you know, and they're kind of waiting for the right moment, you know. And then I listen to Doing Me, and you're singing on it.
Hmm.
And I know that you're a singer. I know that you have that past from your
Hmm.
bio and my research, right? So I know that you've done things in the past with your voice that's different from the poetry and the spoken word, that's different from the boom bap and the hip hop.
Hmm.
Um, but on this one, you actually that's you. And I was like, okay, what's going on? Is the R&B album? Is the infamous R&B album dropping? Is she
Hmm.
gonna do more like a Lauryn Hill, where she's like on a lot of the hooks, you know? So whatever you can share about what's happening creatively with Silver and Gold as far as new music.
So you are right that I did kind of like disappear for a little bit. This year there's just so much going on in my personal life. I just moved from Los Angeles to Santa Cruz.
Okay.
So I just recently moved. So I'm up north, um, Central Coast area slash Bay
Okay.
Area. And so that was a major move. It happened in March.
Okay.
I've been here since March. So that was a major
Yeah.
move in my life, right? So I needed to sort of just uh, kind of like take a step back from music just a little bit,
Yeah.
just to like just to get my life in order, to move to a new city. And so yes, that's what I've been doing. But I've been here for a while now, and I think I've started recording music again. I released Doing Me. Funny enough, Doing Me was recorded like last year before the move, and I just had it. I had it there for a while, and so I was talking to my boyfriend about it, and I'm like, "Look, I haven't released anything yet. Should I release something? I have a few songs just mixed and mastered, ready to go. Should I just do it?" And so I played
Absolutely.
some songs. Yeah, and so I played some songs for him, and he was like, "That one's dope. You should drop it." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Really?" He's like, "Yeah, just do it." And I'm like, "Okay." So I dropped it, and that was it, you know? So yes, I do have a bunch of stuff that's ready to go, but I'm settled here. I've been recording. Um I don't like to rush, you know?
Yeah.
I don't feel anxious when I don't drop music.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do, but it never overwhelms me. I'm pretty confident in my strategy. I don't do this for any other reason than I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also love my personal life a lot, you know, and I want
Hmm.
to make sure that I'm at peace there. That's important
It's
to
so
me.
important.
Yeah. And so I don't like to just drop things just willy-nilly. I like to put a lot of thought into my cover art. I like to put a
Yeah.
lot of thought into the dates that I'm releasing stuff in. Um, I like to rearrange my entire website to match the stuff I'm dropping.
That's good.
I like to be able to create a newsletter. So I'm really big on being organized and planning for the
Yeah.
most part.
Yeah, like doing like a
Um,
rollout.
yeah, I am. I like to make sure that the album is organized. And even with my single, even if it's just a single, I have to make sure that it's just a good cover art. The date is good. It's a mix and match with just how I like it. So that's why I don't just drop a bunch of stuff,
Yeah,
because I am a
yeah,
little bit too, and I'm not a perfectionist. I'm not, but I do like to be excellent, right?
yeah.
And so, yeah, but I am working on stuff, and soon, very soon, before the year ends, I should be dropping something else. So
In
I'll leave it at that.
2025.
Before
In tw
this year ends, before this year ends, I want to drop something, even if it's
right,
just a
right, like a
song.
new track or something.
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm. So
So
I've
I'm
finally,
predicting I'm gonna if I had a bet, I'm gonna predict that the new albums would be in 2025. Because that's the pattern.
yeah, you're right.
Do
But it's not going to be an album, like a full album.
you think it'll
I think
be like an EP?
I'm leaning towards an EP,
Hmm.
like a long EP or like a short album.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's not going to be 10, 11, 12 songs like I
right.
usually do. But
Yeah.
it is going to be dope. It's going to be dope, obviously. Yeah.
Is this the first time you've lived outside of LA?
No, no. I lived in actually when I was in college, I studied abroad in London,
Yeah,
and I was there for about 4 months, right? But
that's cool.
it was just 4 months, so it wasn't like years.
Yeah,
So that was the only time that I really lived outside of LA. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
yeah. How are you liking Northern California, Central Valley?
Santa Cruz. You know what? Santa Cruz is a really pretty city.
Yeah,
It's by the beach. It's more like a vacation city. It's super cute. I am from South Los Angeles, so I'm not super used to cuteness, you know.
right,
Um, yeah, so it's very different from where I'm from. There's a lot of white people,
right.
which is something new for me, because where I'm from, it's all Latinos.
Yeah, yeah,
So everywhere I go, everybody looks like me, right? But it's a little different here.
yeah.
There isn't like too much diversity. Um, but it is a really pretty area. I'm by the beach, and that's really cool. So there's goods and bads. I miss my community a lot, but I also think this is a really pretty place, and I can't even knock the view. It's nice. So I'm enjoying it for the most part.
I think it'll be interesting to see what the music is like that you create there as time goes on. Because, your environment, like you're a spitter. You know what I'm
Oh, thank
saying? Like when I
you.
sit down and I listen to your lyrics and I actually listen um,
Thank you.
to the emotion and the pen game, how you're in the pocket, that's LA. You know what I'm
Thank
saying?
you.
That's
Thank
born
you.
here. And
Yeah.
and it's dope. And environments have an impact on you, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
think from the poetic side of you, right, as a poet and as a writer, I'm really curious to see what that beautiful environment, you know what I'm saying, and what that's gonna
Thanks.
do
Yeah.
for. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting creative because everything's kind of chapters too, right? You may not be there forever. This is
Mm.
this chapter in time. What
Yeah.
is created in that space during this, this portion of your life? It'd be
It's
interesting.
really interesting. No, yeah, you're right. It is a chapter. It's a chapter in my life. And yeah, like we look back sometimes at our own music, at our own art, and then it reminds us of where we were at that time. So yeah,
Yeah.
this next project is gonna be something to look back at years and be like, wow, I recorded that whole album in Santa Cruz. Um, I
That's
wrote
cool.
I I wrote some songs while I was still in LA, but I recorded them when I moved here, right?
Mm.
And then I wrote other songs here and I recorded them here. So yeah, it was like a lot of that stuff took place here. And then yeah, it's gonna be a chapter, honestly. And I'm I'm still talking shit in some songs, to
Yeah,
be honest with you.
yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course. But you're right. A lot of it is pretty optimistic. It's pretty optimistic. And I'm
Right, because
excited
on
for you
Doing
guys to hear
Me, I think one of the hook is actually like, I'm not gonna be positive all the time.
Yeah,
That's the
I wrote that song
actual
last
hook.
year. Yeah, it is. I wrote that song last year though. I was in LA at the time. Man, Doing Me, I wrote it last year. Yeah. It was a really hard time for me at the
Yeah,
time. I look back and I think about it, see where I was at when I wrote it. It was a really hard time. Yeah, there was just so much going on in my life and I just felt like I don't always sometimes I can encourage you and I can encourage myself, you know? And I'm not gonna worry about encouraging you or encouraging myself. I'm just gonna be real. And this I'm feeling really hurt right now by life,
yeah,
you know? And that's what Doing Me is about. And I didn't drop it while I was in LA because again, there was just so much going on in my life. And then when I moved up here, that's when I was like, okay, well now we can think about life a little bit more, you
yeah.
know? And I dropped it. Yeah, I'm definitely not where I was when I wrote Doing Me, but
Right.
I'm glad that I dropped it. It's a really cool song. I love what
Oh my
I
gosh,
love
it's
what I'm
so
saying.
what. So what one of the things I love about hip hop so much, and I think a lot of people, what they love about music and their favorite artists, is that for the artists, they're being really vulnerable. They're talking about like they're talking about their life and their things that they've gone through. But when you're like the listener, you kind of aren't really up in their business. You're actually associating what from your life you could connect to that, and that's
Hmm.
it makes you feel um, resilient and have kind of like, oh, this person went through it, um, Silvandgold went through this, or like somebody else, like they didn't have a dad growing up, or they went through this heartbreak,
Yep.
or they went through poverty, or they grew up in a tough area,
Hmm.
and look what they were able to do,
Yep.
and look how they handled it, and look at the bravado, and look at the swagger, and look at
Hmm.
how they use that adversity and made it cool.
Yeah,
And they took,
absolutely.
yeah, they took hand me downs and made it fashion, right? They all these
Hmm.
things. They and that's one of the things that we love about music and specifically hip hop. So Doing Me, I mean, you were like, I was listening to it, and I was like, oh, this is so dope. What she's talking about,
Yeah.
the
Thank
struggle of
you.
an artist, the
Yeah.
struggle, the struggle of family and people that are too close,
Hmm.
right? And they're trying to dim
Yeah.
your shine. I think that's one of the words you use. Bitches trying to dim my shine. Yes, that's facts. That
Yeah,
happened.
that was real. I was writing that from a real perspective because I was like, I'm in LA. I really want to make this music stuff happen, but there's just so many haters.
Bro.
And I'm trying to understand why. Like why? We don't even know each other. Like let's get to know each other first so you can decide that you don't like me, but you can't and I was just kind of frustrated with myself because I'm like, I just really want to so it's funny because I was talking to my boyfriend about this, how like he gets mad that I complain that I don't have like a big like team to help me with my music.
Yeah.
And then he's like, you complain that you don't have a team, but I'm the one filming your videos. Like, what about
I'm
me?
the team, right?
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I get you. But when I wrote Doing Me, I was talking about LA, right? Like, I was frustrated with myself in LA because I felt like I was by myself.
Yeah.
It was just me. I didn't have like a group of people backing me up. I have the fans, which was
Yeah.
awesome, and that's all I have, just the fans, and then there's me. But I don't
Yeah.
have like people helping me with my music videos and with my recording. Like I gotta just pay. I gotta pay to make things happen, and but I also have my own bills, and
Yeah.
I don't have anybody doing any favors for me,
The
and
opposite. The
I've
opposite.
had some people bless me, and
Yeah.
they don't know how grateful I am because that's not common for me. That wasn't ever, So the people that did do favors for me, like I'm never gonna forget them because that was something that I didn't always go through. I didn't have a lot of people to help, so I think I wrote that song out of that frustration, just kind of like just me just paying for everything and doing everything myself and orchestrating the album and like trying to figure out just me just a team. And yeah, I definitely talk about that in the song and about the haters because it's real. Like it was
It so
really
is
real what
real.
I was experiencing,
Yeah.
so yeah, I was just bitter in at that moment. I was being
Yeah,
real,
and
for
but
real.
you captured something. You captured something in the song that I think so many people could relate to. Like for
Hmm.
somebody else, it might be they came to LA to be a dancer. It might be somebody else that's from East Coast and they're trying to create a T-shirt company, right? And nobody will help them, but they'll go support something else that
Hmm.
they saw on
Yeah.
Instagram or TikTok, but they won't support the homie,
They
you know, and
won't.
that's a, you know, but you're experiencing it with your music, but that's a thing that you got to
Yeah.
kind of, you got to get beat up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It's not easy
Yeah.
to, it's going to happen like that.
But it's cool. Like honestly, like you're saying, like how else am I gonna learn? You know,
Mm,
unless I do it myself. How else am I gonna appreciate life if I don't go through the struggle first, so that when blessings come, I can be like, all right, like I'm gonna appreciate this because I know what it's like to be without it. You
yeah.
know? So yeah, even though I was kind of like annoyed by it, I'm still blessed by the struggle, you know? Even now, whatever I lack, whatever I wish I had, like it's good. It's all good. We're blessed, right? Like it's all good.
Yeah.
Things are only gonna get better.
Yeah. I love that. You have a line in one of your tracks. I think that it's I'm gonna box your line because you're right here. So I'm gonna obviously not say it correctly, but you say something like on God's favorite on Avant Garde, I think it is, where
Yeah.
um you say you're talking about basically like earning money, and you said it's
Mhm.
chunk change, but it's getting me by. But the truth is it's
Yeah.
getting me by. You say something to that effect. And I love
Yeah.
that line. I can relate to that. I can relate, you know, some little gig and it paid me $50 or $100 or $75 and I needed that.
Yeah. Is
And the creative hustles like that.
is it the avant-garde album or the song? Because there's a song named after the
Yeah,
album. Is it the album or the
yeah.
song?
On the album, you have a song
The
called
album, yeah,
God's
yeah.
Favorite. God's
Oh,
Favorite.
God's favorite. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And
God's
on
favorite is an
that you're
interesting
like, it might
song.
be chump change, you know,
Mhm.
but it's real to me, or like I need it. Or
Yeah,
you said something that I felt that line so much. You have another
yeah.
track on there that may be my favorite Silver and Gold track. I don't know why, but it just hits home. It's something about your cadence, the way you're in the pocket, the beat, everything about it for
Yeah.
me is magical, which is Lizzie Bennett.
Oh, Lizzie Bennett. Yeah, Lizzie Bennett's a good one. A lot of people like it, which is shocking. I didn't expect people to like that song so much because it's so weird. It's a weird song a little bit, I
Yeah.
think. It
Yeah, well, tell me, can you? I think that that's really, really dope because that's how it is, right? Like you're, and to some extent, we're all vessels, right?
yeah.
Like you know, that song, the song you think's the one, people are like,
Yeah.
cool, and then the one that's like, I'm just feeling this, I'm gonna just put this out.
Yeah. People are like, "La, I love Lizzie Bennett." I'm like, really? I like the beat, but I think I just wrote it out for fun. Like it wasn't something that I was like really deep. Like I'm gonna just write, I'm gonna spill my heart in this song. Like it was that's not Lizzie Bennett. I'm just being fun.
Yeah.
Um, I I wrote it because there's a character named Lizzie Bennett in the book Pride and Prejudice.
Okay.
It's a book that I read in college. It's super complicated literature that I read in college, and I fell in love with the character. I thought she was so awesome. She just didn't give a fuck, you know. But she did whatever she wanted to do, which in the 1600s, even now it's a little controversial, but in the 1600s, for a woman to do whatever she wanted to do was not
Yeah.
good, you know, because
Yeah.
she she didn't want to get married to just anybody. She didn't care about her physical appearance. She wanted to just read books all the time. She was always talking smack to her family, and she was just the very like misbehaved sister, right? And so I fell in love with her character, and I wanted to write a song about her.
Like you could relate to the
And
character,
I wanted, yeah, because I related to Lizzie Bennett. And so I saw the movie, and because they made the book into the movie,
right?
which it's been remade so
Right.
many
This
times because
is
there's
Jane Austen, right?
Jane Austen, yeah. Yes, that's the author. And the movie has been remade so many times, but my favorite version is the one with Keira Knightley. And when I saw the movie, I was like, oh my God, this is such a cool adaptation of the book. I love it. So I wrote the song based on Lizzie Bennett and how she is and how I am type thing. And so it's a really weird song.
It's such a
It's
cool
really
song. And now that you
weird.
explained it, because I didn't know who Lizzie Bennett was. Like
This
I
is
know Jane Austen, Pride and Prejudice,
mhm,
but I hadn't connected those dots. So now that you
it's
gave the
very cool.
background, there that's such a good, because I know that it's a couple albums ago, but
Mhm.
what a cool concept for a music video.
A music video? Did I did a music video? I never did a
No,
music
I'm
video for that.
saying, I don't know if you
Or if I
did one or not,
could?
but I'm saying, think about
Yeah,
like Pride and Prejudice era, right? Like you could do like a 1500s, 1600s,
yeah.
right? Like you, like in Santa Cruz, boom.
It's such an old song though. Yeah, maybe one day. Maybe one day. I feel like only certain people understand that song. So, but I did it for like for whoever gets it. Like, if you get it, you get it. If you don't, it's not for you.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah. But
There's
thank you for
something
listening to Lizzie
special
Bennett.
about that song.
Thank you.
Personally,
Thank you.
yeah, personally, just from a I don't know. I guess I could call myself a hip hop connoisseur,
Of course.
right? Like I love hip
Yeah.
hop.
Hell
I
yeah.
love hip hop. I've listened to hip hop my entire life, and that one I added to my personal playlist. So
Wow. Thank
yeah,
you.
it
Thank you.
has something about it that's like, oh, I don't know what I don't. It's hard to
That
pinpoint
means a
what
lot.
that is.
That means a lot
Mm-hmm.
to me. Thank you for listening to it and for listening to the lyrics. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's one of the weird ones, but I
yeah,
liked it too.
yeah.
I like it.
No, it's
Obviously, if it's in the
dope.
album, I like it. So if it's in the album, I
Yeah.
liked it. I liked it personally, but it is a little weird. I recognize that. Whatever.
Um, it, this may be like a question that's like maybe hard. I don't know. Do you have like some songs from your catalog that are like meaningful to you for some reason personally, that song means a lot to you, or it did something for you, or you kind of like really like were let it all the personal stuff out, or is there a song in your catalog? It
Yeah,
doesn't have to be from Gold Rush, right? It could be from your entire catalog that's
my
really
entire
meaningful for
catalog.
you.
I
Yeah.
have a bunch. I have um Loyalty Greater Than Love, which was in my first EP I dropped in 2019. I really like that song because it was the first song I ever recorded like in a studio
Wow.
ever. No, I recorded one before that, but that one I left on SoundCloud. So that one's there. But for an actual like project of mine,
Mm-hmm.
that's the first song that I recorded for a project ever in my life. And
Yeah.
it's called Loyalty Greater Than Love. It's a Spanish song, actually. Spanish song. I wrote it in Spanish. I recorded in Spanish. It's when I hear it, it brings back a lot of memories because it was the first time that I said I'm gonna drop a project, and I recorded it, and my cadence isn't that great, at least in my head, because I can hear myself and I know myself. So when I hear it, I'm like, I could have spit that way better, but I was kind of like a rookie still. I was still kind of
First
scared to
song.
record.
It's the
Yeah,
definition of a rookie,
yeah,
right? First
I
song.
I hear myself kind of sounding a little scared on the mic,
Sure.
little bit stiff. I don't have no swag. I'm still very like just So I like that song because of that. It just interesting. Also, MVP on Avant Garde, which is the
Yeah.
last song on the album. I love MVP, which a lot of people don't like. It's funny, but a lot of people don't like it, but I love MVP. Um, I just
What about
love
MVP is special to you?
um I just MVP. Why do I like MVP so much? It's a very like jazzy beat. I fell in love with the beat. When I heard the beat, I was like, oh my God, I have to do something with this. With I have to. And it turned out to be the last song I recorded for the album because I was sitting on the beat for so long because it was intimidating me.
Yeah.
But I loved it so
You
much. I
needed to
needed
do
to
it
do
right.
something. I'm like, I need to do it, but I'm gonna do it right. So I decided to write kind of like a love song,
Yeah.
but it wasn't like it's not a romantic love song. It's more of like if you don't appreciate me, I'm gonna leave love song because I
Yeah.
know I'm the shit. So it was one of those love songs. I was talking shit, but also I was kind of, I named it MVP because like I'm kind of like I am the MVP type thing. So I was
Mm-hmm.
kind of hyping myself up in the song. I was making myself feel good in the song. I was encouraging myself in the
Yeah.
song, and I named it MVP because I kind of wanted to uh, pay homage to Big L and how he has a song
Mm-hmm.
he has a song named MVP on Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous. So, and I don't know if you know, but in that second album, I paid homage to Big L a few times, with
I didn't catch
MVP, and
that.
then
I love Big L, but
yeah,
I didn't. That's cool.
yeah,
And I know the song by Big L MVP that you're talking about. That was like
yeah, yeah,
kind of like his theme. That was one of his themes. He
yeah,
talked about being
the most
most valuable
valuable poet on the
Most
MIC.
valuable on the MIC.
Yeah, and I named the first song on the album was Return of the Locksmith, but I spelled of the like he spelled of the on the album,
Yeah.
Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous, so it's OVDA. So I named the first song on the album Return of the Locksmith, and I put OVDA like him. I named MVP on the album because I wanted to name a song MVP just like him. And then I shot one of the videos in Harlem in front of his mural. Um,
Wow.
Light Work, the song Light Work on the
Yeah.
album, I shot
Yeah.
it in Harlem. So I wanted to pay homage to him in some form. So I did it in those three ways, and I named MVP because in the hook I'm saying I'm the most valuable, and then I'm like, well, let me just name it MVP, most valuable, you know. So I really like MVP for that reason. I think because it's a weird love song. It's like a weird love. It's not like a romantic love song. It's more like a bitter love
Like a
song,
hip
you
hop
know.
love
Which,
song.
yeah, it's and I'm being honest. It's a bitter love song, but it's such a good beat. Like I'm not being super optimistic in the song. I'm being a little negative, but it's still love, and it's love for somebody, you know.
Yeah.
So I think it's a pretty creative love song, and I think that's why I love MVP so much, you know.
Well, and it
um
sounds like because I don't remember that one. It doesn't stand out to me, so I can't like think about the lyrics. But the way you
yeah,
describe, I need to. It's not one of the ones that
it's
stood out.
not.
It's the thing you're talking. It's the thing you were just
It
talking
is,
about, right?
mm-hmm.
But it's definitely gonna now the backstory and the big hours. I love this so much. I'm gonna go back and listen to it with fresh ears.
I hope you
But
like
it sounds
it.
like separate from it being a love song, it's also like self love.
Oh yeah, it's self-love.
Yeah.
It's a self-love song. That's exactly what it is. It's not a love song for somebody else. It's a love song for me,
Mm,
you know. And so that's why I love MVP. And then on the last album that I dropped on
yeah.
Gold Rush, I guess one of my favorite songs, or one of the more deeper songs, would be Dear Summer. You know, Dear
That's
Summer
my favorite
Baby.
song. That's
That
that's my favorite song on.
When I wrote that song, I was probably just so depressed. I was
Wow.
so depressed.
You wouldn't
Yeah,
think that from the song.
interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was so depressed. I was just it was just like a really bad time. I had like no I was just like I had no job. I was kind of like questioning what am I gonna do next with my
Yeah.
life, you
Yeah.
know. I dropped my album I think the previous year, and I had nothing else dropped for like almost a year.
Yeah.
And I was like, I haven't dropped anything in a year, not nothing. And I was just feeling kind of like, why aren't I doing anything with anything? Like I got out of I got out of a relationship. Um, my brother came out of jail, so I was happy about that. But then I think he went back, so I was kind of like, oh, like, I don't want him to be in jail
Yeah.
anymore. So there was just like so many
Like
things,
big highs and lows. Right.
mostly lows, not many highs, honestly.
You're like,
Like I'm just like I don't have a job. I haven't dropped any music in a year. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. My brother, I want to be able to help him, but I don't know how. So
yeah.
it was just a lot of stuff going on with family. But it was during summertime. And I remember thinking to myself, I was sitting outside, and it was a beautiful day in LA, like always. LA is always beautiful.
It
So
is.
the day was beautiful. And I was like, oh, this weather's so nice. And I'm feeling so sad, which is so ironic. So I remember just thinking to myself, I'm gonna write a song right now. Like I'm gonna go outside in this beautiful weather. I'm gonna sit in the shade because we had like a picnic area outside. And I'm like, I'm just gonna write next to the garden. So I went outside. I made myself an iced coffee from home. I went outside and I sat next to the garden, and I put my headphones on, and I'm like, I have this beat. I'm just sitting on this beat. I'm not doing anything. Let me just play it. And so I played it, and I got really inspired, and I wrote the whole
Mhm.
song in one sitting.
Wow.
And I was like, I love this song. So I wrote it. I think I recorded it the week after. I
Wow.
made quick, I made cover art the week after. I paid one of
Yeah.
my homies to mix and master it for me. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I need to get this mix and master because I have to drop it.
Yeah.
So I wrote it, recorded it, mixed and mastered it, and dropped it in like a week. Like I did everything in a week, and I just dropped
It was
it
just green lights with that
before.
song.
Yeah, I just did. I just did it, and I did it. I remember I dropped it on August 31st because August is my birthday. I'm
Right,
August
because to
baby, and
me
I
that sounds like the birthday song. That's why it didn't sound
yeah,
depressed to
it's
me.
a
It sounded,
birthday song.
it was like the
Yeah,
birthday song, and like she's so positive, and like anything that comes her way, she turns it into something like, you know what I'm saying? That's the way it's perceived, or how I perceived it.
I I think that's why I wrote it in such a positive light because I was so sad at that time that I was
Wow.
like, what am I sad about? You know, I'm in Los Angeles. The weather is beautiful. I'm alive. I'm healthy. My family's alive and healthy. I'm sitting in this garden. You know, I have this nice picnic table. Like, yeah, I might not be feeling like the most fulfilled in life, but everything's temporary, right?
Hmm.
Let's thank God for what we have.
For sure.
So I wrote that song with that intention. Like I'm just push forward. Let's just and in the hook I say how can I be depressed when I'm living in Los Angeles, right?
It's
And then
such a,
I
yeah.
like how can I be depressed? And then I wanted to drop it before August came to an end because my birthday is in August. It's obviously it's my favorite month of the year because it's my birthday and
Right.
because I think the weather's the
Birthday
best.
month.
And so I was like, I'm gonna drop it before August comes to an end. And sure enough, I dropped it on August 31st. And yeah, so I think Dear Summer Baby is one of my, I guess, deepest songs for that reason because I was going through a really hard time and I was really encouraging myself really hard in that song because I needed it, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah,
It,
but
it feels like
Summer Baby
for
song.
that album, which is a dope album. Gold Rush is a really dope album.
Thank
It
you,
feels like
thank
that
you.
song's like the lead single. You know how like most albums have like this is the lead single. For
That
me,
was
that's the vibe I got. That's the lead single for that album. Even
that was a
though
lead
there's other
single.
bangers, Pendulum is super dope. You know,
You like
like
Pendulum? That's interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
Pendulum's really good. The production's
Pendulum is
incredible.
deep. Pendulum
Yeah,
is deep.
yeah.
That's one of those songs that I'm like, oh, I was too honest.
But see, as an artist, you always feel that way, and I mean, there might be some weirdos at times that kind of maybe like, you know, that's just part of being an artist, you know. But
Mm,
most people aren't really thinking about you. They're thinking about
mhm.
how your life experience connects to theirs,
Yeah,
and that's why we
that's
love
exactly
artists.
it.
Yeah, that's why we love the artists that we love. That's why you love Big L. It's not lifestyles of the rich and famous. It's the poor and dangerous because he grew up in
Hmm.
Harlem. He was shot.
Yeah, that's exactly
He
it.
was shot. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like he what he's talking about, he was living and
Hmm.
he made it fly,
Hmm.
right? Your adversity and what you're going through and LA's tough, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
like anybody who's going through some adversity, to hear this backstory that you were kind of going through some ups and downs of life, lots of downs, and this is the
Hmm.
song that you turn that into that song. It's dope. That's what hip hop's about.
Dear Summer Baby was that for me.
Yeah.
And then as far as Pendulum, um, you're right. You know, I listen to other artists that I love, and when they're super honest, I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I really appreciate that, and it makes me feel like dang, like so it makes me feel so connected to them. You
Yeah.
know, like even though I don't know them, but I feel like I know them because they're being really honest, and I really appreciate that. And I love that. So yeah, you're right. It's makes me uncomfortable to be super honest, but I know that it's a way for me to release like what I'm feeling. It's a way for me to look back years later at what I was going through, and other people that hear my music, they get inspired because they're probably relating to the same lyrics. So Pendulum,
Yeah.
yeah, Pendulum is pretty real.
Yeah.
Pendulum is
It's
real.
dope. Super dope. Um we talked about, you know, the first project, the EP, which is not on Spotify, right? That's the one that's got like kind of like lo-fi. I think it's got like lo-fi production.
It is on Spotify, isn't it?
I didn't see it on there.
I don't
Maybe I
know.
missed it.
I could
EPs are
double
kind
check.
of
I thought it
funny though
was.
because they get kind of EPs get jumbled
Oh,
up with
in the singles.
singles.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I think it is in the single section because it should be still
Okay,
on Spotify.
so
Yeah,
I'll go find that joint.
hopefully.
But that one and then Gabby Guerrero,
Oh,
right? The
that's
Gabby
my first
Guerrero,
official album.
the
Yeah,
first long
Gabby Guerrero LP.
play.
Yeah.
You have which is really dope beat. but you have one track on there that's Claramente, right? Where you're actually flowing in Spanish, right? And I
Yes.
was like, oh, okay.
Oh
But I think
no.
that, in your LPs and the albums that have come after, that's the only one where you've gone all Spanish. Is that
Uh,
right?
Claramente. Well, I have uh Loyalty Over Love, which is all Spanish, which is the first EP. It's a 5-song EP. And then in the first album, which is the Gabi Guerrero LP, I have Claramente. And then in my second album, which is the Avant Garde album, I have Profetas. That one's in
Oh
Spanish.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
yeah.
What about
And
that?
then
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Gold Rush, I don't have a Spanish song. I actually recorded a song that has a Spanish verse, but it wasn't part of the album. It didn't make the cut. We'll see what happens with that song.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have, I guess, more than one song in Spanish. Yeah.
Okay, because I wondered, because so for me, like I listened through, and the one that stood out to me was Claramente, and I was like, dude, she could flow in Spanish. Why is there not more Spanish material? Um,
There will be. There will
yeah.
be.
Have you
Yeah.
thought about maybe doing more Spanish material?
Oh, yeah.
Do you feel more comfortable in English? Um,
I love Spanish. I love Spanish hip hop. Yes, 100%. Yes. I have a Spanish song on the next project. Yes. I love it. I do feel more comfortable in English, but I'm fluent in Spanish. So
yeah,
yes, I want to. Yes, there's more. There's more. I'm
more
never gonna stop. I love Spanish hip hop. Yeah,
good, more coming.
hell yeah.
So you mentioned
But
that
Claramente is a cool song, right? I
it
love Claramente.
is, yeah, and I was like, and because you have like I guess more like maybe like a literature background, and you're a
Hmm.
poet, so you would kind of express yourself in a way that's very poetic, right?
Yeah.
And that comes across in Spanish too, so it's really dope for people who
Mhm.
understand Spanish, and
Oh yeah.
probably for people who don't understand Spanish. It's just
Yeah. Still
Spanish is
dope.
beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hell
And
yeah.
so to hear you express your style, but in Spanish, it's like a whole new person. It's like, oh,
I love
there's
it.
this version of Silvandgold.
I love Spanish boom bap for sure. I love it. I wish there was more, like at least in like
That's you.
West Coast. There's a bunch like in Spain and Mexico, but I'm saying like West Coast hip hop. There isn't that much, but I love it. I love it. There definitely will be more for sure.
Yeah. Are there any Spanish language rappers? Because I think a lot of people, they think like urban Latino, and they immediately think reggaeton because it's been so
Yeah,
popular,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
Mhm.
so if I talk to anybody outside of hip hop and just like, you know, el tío, and they're like, "What do
Mhm.
you do?" And I'm like,
Mhm.
"Ah, yeah, um, uh,
Mhm.
hip hop show. I love hip hop."
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh, they're like, they don't really know it. And I'm like, música urbana. And they're like, oh, like reggaeton. They're
Damn,
like
like no,
reggaeton.
not
I'm like,
quite. No, we're not talking
oh,
about
the rapping
reggaeton.
like reggaeton. And it's like,
Oh,
because it
that's
got
tough.
so
Yeah.
economically successful,
Yeah,
right?
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's really interesting. But what I wanted to ask was, um, whether they're Spanish or Mexican or from another part of Latin
Mhm.
America, are there any rap in Espanol that you like, that you listen to? There's a lot of dope female MCs
Yeah,
too,
yeah, for
right?
sure.
And in
Yeah.
Spanish, that are really
Mhm.
carrying the torch. Is there anybody that's in your playlist, or artists
Yeah.
that maybe the broader kind of
Mhm.
American hip hop
Mhm.
crowd doesn't know about?
Well, you know what? I didn't grow up listening to a lot of Spanish rap.
Yeah.
I didn't. I grew up listening to a lot of New York hip hop when I was a kid, when I was like elementary school and middle school. And then when I got to high school, I was able to like branch out and listen to my own things.
Yeah.
Like I was able to like go buy CDs on my own without just listening to whatever my older siblings were bumping, right?
Yeah.
I was able to buy like I want to buy this, I want to buy this. So I was able to listen to more West Coast hip hop, which is interesting. I grew up on New York hip hop first, and then it was West Coast hip hop in high school. So I don't know why it worked out that way, but it did. But I didn't listen to a lot of Spanish rap. That wasn't something that I was exposed to. My older siblings didn't play that. My family members didn't. Even when I got older, there wasn't a lot. The closest thing to Spanish hip hop that I got to was like Big Pun,
Yeah,
Tony Touch, Immortal Technique,
yeah.
Psycho
All
Realm,
all legends.
you know? Yeah, Psycho Realm. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So that's about as Spanish as it gets in hip hop that I grew up listening to. I didn't listen to Chicano rap, which is a whole different genre of hip hop, right? That's
Really
Chicano rap. That's
is,
like,
yeah.
yeah, like
It's kind and enclosed. They don't care about nothing else. They're doing
Chi-
their own thing.
Chicano
They've
rap
got their own
their
shows, their
own.
own
They don't give a
festivals, everything.
yeah, their own music, their own beats, their own style. And so I wasn't listening to Chicano rap either. That was something
Right.
that I'm like, oh, in the when I got older, I realized, oh, that's a thing. Like, there's really the Chicano rap, like
Yeah.
gangsters, like, you know. But I didn't know any of that. It's a whole different thing. And so I think that's why I was so eager to rap in Spanish when I first started rapping, because I was like, I want to hear some boom bap in Spanish. It doesn't exist, and I love it. I want to be able to do that. And then the internet, existed, and I was like, and then I was able to like see that there's actually a lot of Spanish boom bap that I don't know about, like there's a
Yeah.
bunch in Spain, like I said, Mexico, South America, but I didn't know about it. So I discovered like artists like Eptos Uno. He's
Yeah,
from
I've heard of that.
Eptos Uno's from he's from Mexico, but I don't remember the state. But Eptos Uno is really dope.
Yeah.
I discovered Aleman. He's from Mexico as well. And then some uh, rappers from Spain. I don't remember their names, but I really like Spanish rap, like from Spain.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much what I know. And then I had a friend that introduced me to Ana Tijoux.
Oh yeah.
She's
She's from
yeah, she's
Chile.
she's
My
so
dad's from
she
Chile.
she's from Chile. Yeah, she was
Hmm.
so sick. She was so sick. So those are about the only ones that I eventually discovered that I was like, wow, they really inspired me for sure. Eptos Uno for sure inspires me a lot. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think he's so dope.
And what's interesting also, with Mexican rap, but also Spanish rap,
Mhm.
is they're very boom bap. They're very, very
Yeah,
boom bap. I would say
yeah.
the Spanish rap, the rappers from España. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, you mean from Spain? Yeah, yeah, yeah. They
They're
are. They
like
really are.
super, super lyrical, very boom bap.
I love it.
There's that connection.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish there was more of that here. Unless there is, and I haven't discovered it, But yeah, I think it's super dope.
That's cool. Um, you know, when we look at your discography and we think about people that you've had a chance to collaborate with, like Superstition and 60 East, Destruct, all
Yeah.
these heavyweights.
Mhm.
Is there anybody that you would like to collaborate with that you haven't had a chance to collaborate with yet?
Yes,
Mm.
absolutely. There's a bunch. I really want to work with Shay Noir.
Mm.
Um, she's from Buffalo, New York. I love Shay Noir. She's a big inspiration for me. She she's independent. She produces her own stuff. She drops whenever she wants to. She does it all on her own. She doesn't have like, this whole clique. It's just her, and she's dope. She's just, she's doing it on her own, and she's a black woman, I'm saying, and she's just, she just got married, and I just love the way she moves. She moves with such class, with such professionalism, and she keeps it real, and she's very vulnerable in her songs, and she's so crazy dope. So I would love to work with Shay Noir one day. Um, I feel like, yeah, that's a goal of mine
That's dope.
for sure. Yeah, that's one of them. There's a bunch. I mean, I could name a bunch. Do you want a producer? Do you want a rapper? Do you want a female? Do you want a male? Like, there's
Yeah,
so
let's do a
many people.
producer too.
Static Selecta for sure. I would love to work with Static Selecta. I love his style a lot. I've been blessed to be able to work with artists that I was listening to, so I've already been blessed in that.
Yeah,
But I definitely want to work with Static Selecta. That'd be so cool. I
yeah.
think he's a great producer.
Well, and the good thing about Static Selector is that if he produces something, then you get to be on Sirius XM, I think by default, right? Because he's
I
got his slot.
guess. Oh, he does. I guess you're right. Yeah,
He's
yeah.
got
I
his
mean, that's
slot.
not even
I
why.
mean, that's one of the
That's
perks, right?
I mean that's not even why I would do it. I would do it because I want I just I feel like I would do a good job. That's why I feel like I would have killed one of his beats, but also because yeah, he's just dope.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so that'd be awesome if I can do that, man. That'd be sick.
that'd be that'd be amazing. if Chez Noir,
Mm.
if Static Selector,
Mhm.
or of another producer or up and coming artist wanted to collaborate with you, wanted to contact you, or if somebody wanted to book you for a show or, you know, to have you on a project, what's the right way for people to contact Silver and Gold to talk about the business?
Email. My email is actually on my Instagram, so you can just like click on the contact section and then you can just hit my email. You can just email me. That's the best way. I literally check my email all day, every day. Um, for certain people, it might be Instagram. I'm not super famous to the point where I don't look at my Instagram DMs. I still do that. Maybe one day I won't be able to because it'll be just too much.
Sure.
And even now, sometimes it becomes too much. Like there's just too many messages. I can't keep up with it. But right now, Instagram DM. But for sure, email. For sure, email. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. We talked that, you know, when we were opening up the way I opened everything, I just wanted to know like when the new music is coming, and to recap for people to make sure that, you know, anybody listening now or later on when this is recorded and on YouTube and everything. Um, New music, you said that you were planning on dropping something before the end of the year and then potentially next year. Can you talk to us a little bit about that, just like a recap as to what new
Yeah.
Silver and Gold, you know, music is coming?
So I have a friend. His name is Soy is Real. He's a producer from Florida. He is amazing, and I'm gonna be dropping a full EP. Well, like I said, I'm not sure if it's an EP or a short album, just because sometimes I don't know like how many songs is considered an EP, how many
Yeah,
songs
it's
is
kind of
considered an album. But
funny when it's like
yeah,
somewhere between like
is it
7 and 9, like
8,
yeah,
6?
6 and 9.
I
What
don't
is that?
know. Yeah, so I don't know what it is, but it's gonna be a project dropping fully produced by Soy is Real. He's so dope. He's from Florida. He's just like samples, boom bap, amazing. So I'm working on that now. And
That's
like I said, I'm gonna be dropping a single before the year ends, and it's gonna be produced by Soy Israel. So yeah,
that's dope. Where in Florida is he?
I'm not sure what part of Florida.
Yeah,
I'm
or
not sure, but
because you know Miami obviously is like has so much talent,
yeah,
but Orlando's got a dope hip hop scene right now
really,
with a
I
lot,
didn't know
yeah,
that.
a lot of, because there's like this connection between um Florida and New York, right?
Oh
So like it's really super
yeah,
common. That's why, like, you know, famous guys like Fat Joe
hmm
and P Diddy, that's hilarious because he's going through all this stuff, but they were living out there, right? But
uh-huh,
also like in the underground, you know, you've got like um you know, Midas the Beast,
really,
Block Forever, Shabam Sadiq, Zarism, Thurston Howell the Third. I mean, these are all
oh,
like
oh,
well
New York,
established, you know, um
dang,
Brooklyn, New York hip hop underground guys. Tony Touch, like
yeah,
he's from, you know, he's from New York, but he spent a lot of time in Orlando. Then, you know,
really,
yeah,
dang, it
like
makes sense,
his whole
honestly.
high school's out there.
Dang, I didn't even know that. That's crazy.
Hmm.
Tony
So Orlando's got
Touch.
like this really
Mm,
interesting connection
yeah.
with with New York City that
Mm-hmm.
has, you know, I guess what you would consider like a medium sized city, this massive underground hip hop scene. So that's why I asked
Damn,
like where
for
he's
real.
from.
I'm
Hmm.
not sure where
Hmm.
he's from in Florida. I'm not sure where he's from. I actually I started following him on social media, and then he followed me back, and then he sent me a message saying he was gonna be in LA one day, and if I wanted to meet up with him. And I remember me and my homie Junior were big fans of his. So when
Yeah,
Soy is Real messaged me, I told my homie like, "Hey, Soy is Real is in LA. Do you want him? Should we
let's
invite him
go.
over to
Right.
your place so we can hang out?" And he's like, "Yeah." So we invited him over to Junior's place with my homie, and we just hung out. We talked for hours. We got to know each other because we didn't know each other before that.
In
It was just an
real
Instagram thing.
life.
So we
Yeah.
yeah, so we got to meet in person and we connected, and that that's when we talked about some music, and he gave me like a bunch of beats and he gave him a bunch of beats, and I was like, dang, that's cool. And then I moved out of there like I think a month or something
Right.
after we met. So I had to pack up all my things and move up north and just start a new life, a new
Yeah.
job. And so I stopped making music for a while. But yeah,
Right.
I
The studio went
started
into a
again. And
box. The Now it's out the
literally, like, we
box.
just moved, and now we're here. So when I moved here, I still needed to settle in, and then that's when I decided, like, okay, like, I've taken a long enough break. It's time to write to these soy beats, right?
Yeah,
So I started to just listening, especially during summertime. I really just started to just lock in, and so we're almost done with the project, almost done. And like I said, I'm gonna drop a single before the year ends, produced by Soy. So yeah.
that's dope. So 'cause I'm trying to like pull the layers back, but also respect the artistry. So project by the end of this year.
Song by end of single by end of this year,
Okay, there we
project
go.
next year
So
for sure.
single by the end of
Hmm.
this year, and then probably a project in 2025 when it's completed, when the time is right, maybe
Mm.
in the right. All of that stuff is like it's almost
When the
like
time is
a
right, for sure.
you know when it's ready and the moment
Yes,
is right also.
absolutely. When I know, and I don't want to pressure myself. I just know I want to be excellent in everything because it's important to me. These are my babies. My albums are my babies. Like,
Yeah,
I listen to albums by artists, and I listen to them in order because I want to respect the artist. And when I do that, it makes me feel some type of way. So why wouldn't I want my listeners to bump the entire project in order and feel something? So that's important to me. I'm not gonna rush shit, you know? I just want to make
yeah,
sure it's nice. I want to make sure it's just dope.
that's dope. On Doing
Thank
Me,
you. Hmm.
you were singing a bit and kind of like tapping into that part of your artistry. You're a
Yeah.
multifaceted artist. I think most people know
Thank you.
you as an MC. They listen to your lyrics. You have a dope voice. You're able to communicate, with your words in a way that's very vulnerable. But you're a poet
Hmm.
and you're bilingual
Yeah.
and you got chops. You could sing.
Thank you.
So, but that's not captured on a lot of your projects, right? All of those
Hmm.
aspects.
Yeah.
Um, will the new project coming up, will that kind of be more in alignment with like Gold Rush, Avant Garde, Gabby Guerrero, where it's kind of like, listen, I'm gonna give you this work, I'm gonna give you these rhymes, and this is what you're
Hmm.
gonna get, or is it gonna be kind of like using all these other tools that you have? Are we gonna hear some more singing, some more poetry, some more Espanol?
So there will be Spanish, yes. As far as okay, so this next project is fully produced by one producer, right?
Oh, that's interesting.
Whereas the last projects were
Beats,
scattered
you like
producers.
pick beats,
Yeah,
right?
different beats. So because this is by one producer, it's gonna sound different because it's very similar production. It's kind of like the beats have a personality of the producer. So the producer's gonna have a very obvious presence in the album, which I think is dope. I haven't done that since my first EP. So that's number one. He's super boom bap heavy samples. So it's very heavy. It's definitely not mellow. It's not a mellow album. It's just really hard, really hard. Super boom bap. It's not.
That's dope. I mean, I love
Yeah,
that's
it is.
that's my
So
jam. How what
there
does
isn't a
that
lot
what
of
does
space
that
for me
feel
to
like for
sing.
you?
I love it. I love it. It's I like more like jazzy hip hop,
Yeah,
so it is a little bit like different than what I'm used to, but it's I love it. Like, I might not do that type of music, but I bump that type of music. So to be able to do the type of music that I bump is like, okay, I'm getting a little bit out of my element because I'm a little jazzy and slow and sweet with the hip hop, but I'm gonna have to go in. I'm gonna have to be a, a little harder. You know what I'm saying? So it's a little bit different in that sense because it is a little bit more heavy,
yeah.
but I'm excited. I definitely stepped out of my comfort zone a little bit, but I'm excited. I'm excited. There is not much singing. Not on this one.
Yeah. You have so many
The
tools
opposite of
in
singing.
the toolkit.
It's the opposite of singing. Sorry,
Yeah.
not on this one. Maybe I think I have like one beat that I haven't written to. We'll see what happens. But also the features. I have features in this album. I don't wanna ruin
I
the
know.
surprises, but
Because I don't want to.
I have
Yeah, this is
features.
that's kind of what I'm like.
Oh man, I have one feature. I'm not gonna say the names, but I have one feature from Chicago, right? I have another one from North
But
Carolina,
that kind of narrows it down. It's like, but there's still like 30 people it could be, but it kind of narrows it down a little bit.
Chicago, North Carolina. I have one from Compton, of course. My
North
friends are there,
Carolina
so
narrows it down too. North
North
Carolina, like,
Carolina,
okay, it's gonna
Chicago,
be.
Compton. Yeah. Yeah, and then I'm really excited about the one from Chicago because I've never done any music with this person before, and it's happening. So I'm excited.
That's like that Leaders of the New School song, North Kakalaka and Compton. Check it out. That's your
That's
new project, is
literally
that?
me. Literally, yeah. So the North Carolina, is that giving it away?
No, don't
Nah,
make. I think I
I won't
know
give it
already, but
away.
I don't want you to give it
Yeah,
away.
you
So
might know
don't.
already. I think you might know. But the Chicago one, I'm excited. I'm
Okay.
so blessed to be able to work with this artist from Chicago. I'm very happy. It's definitely a milestone. I'm excited. So,
Okay. So just to kind of like throw people off a little bit, we're gonna say Chicago, it's Kanye West. North Carolina, it's Ninth Wonder, and Compton, it's Kendrick.
okay,
Boom,
sure.
done.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, yeah.
No, I'm
August
really
2000
excited
is this
to
project, yeah. And then of course the producer's from Florida, so I got Florida on there, you know.
exactly
I'm LA, so there you go.
got everything covered.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that sounds like a really awesome project. I can't wait to hear it. I'm gonna be waiting for the new single also. I think a lot of people are gonna be excited about that. When it comes out, you'll know when
Yeah,
to do it at the right time.
yeah.
Um, as we start to wrap up, the one thing I wanted to ask you is kind of like maybe, we're talking about the new album and the new song that's going to drop this year, new album for next year, or new project for next year. But if we could take it all the way back to more like the beginning, um,
Mm-hmm.
when you first started, I think that the origin story, right, for Silver and Gold goes, that you were like a poet first, right? Like you were doing
Yeah,
more like poetry and things
yeah.
like that. And then at some
Mm-hmm.
point you kind of did like the evolutionary jump. I don't know if it's not
Mm-hmm.
that it's better, but just you
Yeah.
made the jump from poetry to hip hop. But you grew up
Mm-hmm.
listening to hip hop. Can you
Yeah.
talk to us a little bit about your love for poetry, those early days of grabbing the mic, writing, performing in front of people, and then that jump?
Yeah. So I loved hip hop since I was a kid, right? That's all I ever liked. But it wasn't something that I ever thought I could do, right? I was just a fan. But I did like singing. I used to sing in
Yeah.
church, when I was really, really young, and then I sang when I was a little bit older. I was in the church choir. I really, really loved singing. I That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a singer. That's what I wanted to do. I loved hip hop, but I'm like, I can't, that's not me. I can't do it. I can't rap. It's just not my scene. I don't look like I fit in, but I'm a fan, but I do want to sing. So that was always the goal, just to be a singer, right? Singer. That was my first love. And then I started to really fall in love with poetry. Also, shout out to high school poetry classes.
For
Like,
sure.
I know that I know that not a lot of high schools and middle schools sort of like teach
Yeah.
poetry. I know it's all about
Yeah.
English and math and science and art, but poetry is a very specific niche, and they don't really teach that in schools. But I was blessed enough to learn that when I was like in middle school, and what it means to be a creative writer and to just write about
Yeah.
your feelings and what you're thinking. And then I got to high school and I got to write a little bit more about poetry. And then I got to college and I was like, well, I can actually pick a poetry class to take. So I took poetry classes because I was like, I loved it when I was younger. So I I took it in college, and it was just the best. My favorite classes were poetry classes. I was like, oh, I love it. I love writing. I love reading. I love just expressing myself. And I love like I don't know if you remember back in the days, like in the 90s, they had Def Comedy Jam,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. 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 The
Do you
poetry
remember that?
slam.
They had the poetry slam. Do you remember those?
For
Oh man,
sure. A good friend of mine, La Bruja, was a part of that.
wow.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was
Yeah. Russell
I was a
Simmons, man.
kid.
Russell Simmons did a lot.
I was a kid watching the poetry slam, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. They're so dope. And they're just speaking. Sometimes it rhymes, sometimes it doesn't, but it makes sense. And everything they're saying is just real. I fell in love with slam poetry.
Yeah.
I was like,
It's
this is
performance
beautiful.
art too, right? There's so much
It's just
theater in it.
perfection. It's just, even now as an adult, I look back at the old videos on YouTube and I'm just like, they need to bring this back. Oof,
They
can you
really
imagine?
do.
Can you
It's like a
imagine? Oh my
whole.
God.
I'm not sure where else. Um,
love
Who's
my poetry. It just does
who?
something to me,
Where's that at?
you know?
Where's that at where you can consume it right now?
You know
You got to
what?
go look at.
Um, you have to just do it on your own.
Yeah.
Where I'm from in Southeast LA, there's this thing called Alivio Open Mic. It happens once a month. My friend Eric, he hosts it in his parents' garage.
Wow.
He has a stage, he has a mic, he has a whole setup, and then he has a list, and you can sign your name if you want to share some poetry. So he's doing it in Southeast LA, which I respect.
Yeah.
Shout out to Eric because I used to go there to share my poetry there too. But I just poetry has always been just everything to me, right? And then I like I said, I got to college and I started to major in English, and I had to take some literature classes where I had to read like Shakespeare, like real ass Shakespeare. And that shit was hard because it's like a whole different language. But when you
Yeah.
really
It's old
dissect the lyrics,
English.
I'm sorry, when you really dissect the what Shakespeare is saying, instead of just reading it, you're just like, oh, damn, like it's really just hurt. It just hits, right? So poetry was is everything to me. I love it. I love it. I love it. And so of course, I started to write my own poetry because why wouldn't I, right? I love it so much. I started to express myself and stuff like that. And then I just wanted to try rap, like expressing my poems over beats. And obviously, there's free beats everywhere on YouTube. So I would just like type in a type of beat that I wanted to hear it, and I would try to recite or like spit it a certain way that it fits the beat, right? So like it fits the cadence. And I was like, this sounds dope. This sounds really sick, you know? And so I started to write to the beat, right? As opposed to like just having a poem that fit the beat. I'm like, well, let me just write to, to the beat. So I started to write, and then I'm like, man, this sounds really, really dope. And I just kept getting better and practicing. And then
At
I
what
was like,
point
this
did
is
you
sick.
feel like you were rapping? At what point did it go from poetry to like I'm actually doing rap now? Was there like a moment where you felt like this is no longer you know, I'm sure that it's not black and white. It's like probably like a lot of gray, but there's probably a moment where you were doing poetry and then you were actually making a song. Like when did that
Um,
happen?
when I first began, when I was first writing to beats, I wasn't writing a hook. I was just
Mm,
writing the beat, and so I would just write like these long ass verses with
right.
no hook, and that
32
was and
bar
I
verses.
yeah, and I would just do that, and then that became a thing for a while where I was just doing songs without hooks, and then I even made like some merch that said another song without a hook because I just had a bunch of songs with no hooks, and
Right,
then
that's a lyric in one of your that's a lyric that's one of your songs says that.
yeah,
That's like another
yeah,
song with no
yeah.
hook.
Yeah, because I just kept doing that. But then I was like, well, Wu-Tang has songs that don't have
For sure.
hooks, you know? Um, so I guess I don't really need a hook. It's still a song where I'm still rapping on. I'm still making a
Mhm.
song. So I guess I realized right away that it was just I'm rapping because I'm doing it over a beat, right? And it's
Wow.
I have to follow the cadence, right? That was the hard part, trying to follow the cadence. Because if I just rap to a beat and it doesn't follow the beat, it just sounds stupid, right? So
Right.
luckily, I was a student of the game for many years, so I
Yeah.
know like this is you have to follow the beat. What are you doing? So I had to teach myself how to follow the beat, and I was like, well, yeah, I'm rapping now. Yeah, I didn't even. This was not planned.
Wow.
You know?
So from that kind of those early moments where it went from poetry class to your own poetry to you doing the poetry over beats to you writing to
Hmm.
the beat, how much later was your first EP?
Not much later, and I think it
Wow.
shows
Oh,
on the first EP. It
really?
shows I was, well, yeah, because I feel like my cadence is so like amateur in my first EP, which is still a vibe because I look back and I'm like, oh, like I'm learning. You know, I can see my growth. But I think if you listen to my first EP ever, it's a little bit like stiff, you know, a little stiff.
Yeah.
But that's what it is. You know, it's
Yeah.
the reality of where I was at the time. I really was like just testing the waters. You know what I'm saying? I still wasn't confident, you know, and yeah, I was very stiff.
That's cool. And that's really good, not only to have that captured, like catalog, but also for your fans. There's people who, don't you like when you like love an artist or an actor or somebody, you want to go see like the, the early stuff too. You
Yeah,
just don't want to see all the
yeah,
hits. You
yeah.
become enamored with this person's mind, so you
Mm-hmm.
want to kind of follow the whole evolution of
The
the
process, the
artist, of the
evolution.
person.
Yeah,
Yeah, their ideas, where there's like a thread that's them, but you hear kind of like the
yeah.
early version and the
Hmm.
later versions. It's really cool.
That's
So
exactly
that's
what
awesome.
you hear when you hear my music for sure. There's definitely a lot of like there's an evolution. Yeah.
Well, I'm very excited about the next chapter in the evolution, the new
Thank you.
project coming, the new single
Hell yeah.
coming. Yeah,
Absolutely.
doing me
I
is
just
so vulnerable and so beautiful
yeah.
for
It
that.
is, and I love performing it. It's not a club banger for sure, but I love performing it anyway. Sometimes I like to perform the more like mellow songs. That's my favorite, but I love performing doing me for sure.
That's so dope. Silvandgold, it's been an
Thank,
honor to have you on.
thank, thank you for having me. Thank you. Where are you based?
I'm in the Arts District.
Oh, so you're in LA. That's
Yeah,
what's
I'm in
up,
downtown.
man. That's cool.
Yeah, I'm downtown.
That's cool.
Yeah,
That's cool, man. Thank you
yeah.
so much for listening to my music and for giving me an opportunity. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, you're so dope. I can't wait to hear what you got coming next. And I
Hell
look
yeah.
forward to maybe doing this again sometime in the future.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah, it's an honor. Thank you so much.
Thank
Salute.
you. Bye. Have a nice day.
Bye bye.